Hello, and welcome to the Art of Intuition podcast. My name is Susan Jane, and I believe that trusting your intuition is the best way to live your life with meaning and purpose. Each week you will hear about how you can connect, develop, and trust your intuition through interviews with other guests and my own personal experiences. Join me to understand how your intuition can guide you towards a life full of meaning and loving purpose. Hello and welcome to the Art of Intuition podcast. I'm Susan Jane, your host for the podcast, and today we're talking all about healing. Now, I have done a lot of spiritual work, a lot of vibrational healing, energy healing, and things like that over my time. And I want to teach you or explain to you how you can do it yourself too. I'll give you an example about what I did, how it worked with me, and it's almost like testing the theory type thing. But I also want to give you a bit of a guidance on how you can do that yourself. Now, one thing you've got to remember is the way it's going to be done. If you're listening to the podcast while you're driving, just be mindful you don't practice what we're doing. I don't want you to go off into a meditation and go off the side of the road, So please be safe. When we get to that part, if you want to turn it off, I'll tell you what the time is. If I remember to do that, turn it off and then come back to it rather than listen to it in the car or while driving. But what I want to talk about first is the understanding that we have our two bodies, okay? So we've got the physical body and we have the spiritual body. And intuition is the spiritual body talking to us. So it's all about communication. Those intuitive messages is all about communication. And it's what our spirit is trying to guide us towards. Now, when we think about purpose in life, it's actually our spirit that has the purpose, not the physical body that has the purpose. The purpose for this physical body is to support the spirit, is to be the spirit's ability to achieve what it needs to do. I put it down and I explain it similar to like when you're driving a car or when you're in a car. So if the car is the physical body, the driver is the spirit. So the driver is the one that's got the purpose. The driver is the one who wants to go down to the shops to buy groceries. It's not the car. So it's not our physical body that needs to do to achieve the purpose. It's our spirit that needs to do it. But the car has the ability to do it in a better manner. Okay, we could walk, but even then, the car has the ability to do it. And when we're a spiritual being, remember we aren't connected to the five senses, the five physical senses: the touch, taste, sound, sight, smell. Did I cover them all? I'm not sure, but that's all a physical aspect. So for the spirit to get an understanding and a learning from it, they need to come into a physical body. And so that's what intuition is. It's that communication. Now, the other thing I want you to be mindful of is the fact that when we're looking at logics and understanding, we do that with the physical side of our body, with our physical aspect. Now, when we've got that, it's the learnings and the understandings that we have received in this lifetime. Okay, so the logic is what we've received in this lifetime. Now, we can receive it via many different ways, but the understanding is via this lifetime. The imagination is from the spirit. And the imagination spirit has had many lifetimes. So we have those two concepts there as well. So the logical thinking, because we know that that's true as far as what we've seen, smelt, felt, touched. But then we have the imagination, what could be, where what may have been, and we get that from past and present spiritual experiences. So we're bringing those two together. And the reason why I'm talking about that is the fact that when we're doing our spiritual healing, when we're doing our intuitive healing, things like that, we are going to be allowing our imagination to come forward, okay, which is our spiritual thoughts, our spiritual feelings, our spiritual ideas. coming forward, our spiritual guidance coming forward. So we're going to allow the imagination to come forward. And why we do that is because we've all got spirit, we all have our purpose, we've all got our understanding, we've all had our different experiences. So your spirit, the spirit of you, has had many other experiences, and the physical you has had many other DNA exchanges along the way too that we bring forward. So we're bringing them both together so you can see how unique every individual is, which is why you need to allow your imagination to come through, because that's the uniqueness of you. That is what makes you who you are, and it helps you, your spirit, guide you in a certain way. So one of the things we can look at is, the other thing we need to take into consideration as well is, like when I do these live crosses on the Intuitive Personal Development group, a Facebook group, we talk about intention and how we want to go forward with it. So one of the other aspects we need to look at is our intention on what we want to do. So if we have got an illness, if we've got a problem, we've got a situation, it's our intention towards it. So it's putting it out there in that sort of a context. So I've covered up on what it is, what we're going to be doing. The healing aspect of it is extremely individual, as you know, because of the physical aspects of our bodies and the spiritual aspect of ourselves that all come together. There's so many different aspects to that. So this healing is going to be unique for you, for what you need to do. Now, what else is there? I wanted to talk to you about allowing your imagination to come forward, because that's really, really important, and giving yourself the time to do this. Okay, I'll run through what I did and what happened with me. I have done a lot of healings for people to start with. I'll run through that. So I used to do a lot of hands-on work and energy work for healing. So you get the sensations coming through the palms of your hand, and you would be able to feel and work out what you needed to do and where you needed to go. So you'd follow basically the energy coming out of your hand. So you follow that intuitive guidance that way. Now, when I first started doing these sorts of healings, it was a little bit challenging because honestly, again, it's your imagination. The things that you would see or you would pick up was a little bit weird. Honestly, a big weird. I remember seeing this, and all I could call it was a cosmic worm coming out, because it was like see-through, like jelly in a big worm shape coming out. And I called it a cosmic worm because I didn't know how else to explain it. But I saw it coming out of this lady's body, out of her leg. So we have all these different areas that we look at and what we can do. And I remember when I was doing a lot of work, and there was a lot of, there was a time there, when you're doing the healings, you actually find you get little groups. So you find that you'll have somebody that you're working on one particular area, and you'll get 2 or 3 people that come in straight away that you're working on a very, very similar area. And it was your way, which I didn't realize, it was your way of learning. It was your way of getting an understanding. So when I saw it a little bit crazy one time, and then I'd see it again, a little bit crazy again, and it was like, okay, well, the third time it wasn't quite as crazy, and you started to get used to it. One in particular was, I used to have these holistic health days, I used to call them. I started them up myself, and we'd have all the healers would get together, and we had it in a church hall. And all the healers would get together, and it was like they dropped the price. It was like a taste to try something different, because there is so many healing modalities out there that it was really nice to experience different ones. And there was one gentleman there that used to do foot massage, and as he would do the foot massage, he'd give you a reading at the same time. He was incredible. And because he did what's the foot one? Oh gosh, I did it myself. Reflexology, sorry, because he did reflexology as well. when he got a spot that he knew, he would then zoom in and get the intuitive message that came with it and be able to give you a reading. So it was really interesting. There was others that did lots of different things, and there was some there that were just a little bit, how can I put it, shonky. There was some there that they were really not nice energies. Okay, so you will get the different types, so be mindful of that. And that's why if you can do it to yourself, for yourself, you're going to get a lot better results, okay, because you're going to really, really target it. So yeah, there was one particular time when I was doing these monthly holistic health days, and one after another, I needed to work, I was guided to work over their head. So they were laying on my table and I'd be working over their head. And I could see inside their skull. And when I say that, I didn't necessarily see a brain. I can assure you there wasn't always a brain there. But there was different things there. And it was almost like it related to their type of mindset at the time, or how they could fix their mindset. And I would go about clearing it. One lady was, I remember saying to this one particular lady, this is what I saw. And it was like clay, like that really red clay. And it was just all intermingled in her brain cavity. That's how I saw it. And I said to her, I could remove it. There was a lot of stuff there. You were just holding on. It was just bogged down in it. You just could not get through it. And it was like sticking you all together, and your thoughts were not pleasant, or they weren't, even if they were good, they were just so plugged up. And I remember, asking that to be removed, and that was all removed, but it had actually stained the inside. This red had stained the inside of her skull. I said, it's there to remind you. Don't get bogged down again. Keep an open mind, keep it fresh, keep coming, keep learning. And so these are the sort of things that you pick up. You pick up some strange stuff. And I can't guarantee that that was true or false. I can't guarantee anything. But that lady walked away feeling a lot clearer in the head. And the next time I saw her, she had managed to become more focused on what she wanted to do. She had just changed her mindset a little bit more. And it's these lovely little subtle changes that she went through that became quite enormous in her change of attitude and in her change of life. So it was really, really good. So we do all that sort of stuff. I was doing a lot of that. But the real trick to this, when I really put the theory to the test, was when I was sick. Okay, so this is when I really started to put the theory to the test. I could feel like a lump in my throat. It wasn't actually a lump, but you know how you can feel yourself swallow, and you can sort of think, oh, I didn't have a sore throat, but I could feel it swallowing, and it was weird. You could feel it. You're not supposed to feel it, okay? You're not supposed to feel your heart beating, but every now and then you can feel it. Well, I could feel myself swallow, and I knew that there was something happening there in my throat area. And it was at the time when the relationship was, my marriage was really right towards the end. So being a throat chakra, it was like I needed to say my bit, I knew that was the block. But anyway, I've gone to the doctors and I sort of went, it feels strange. It doesn't feel like something that I'm aware of. I know that there's something else going on here. And he... swallow. And he sent me to get a scan done, where they put the gel on and they just do the big scanny. So I went there. Now, when I went there, the lady I knew, she was one of my daughter's girlfriend's mum. So I knew the lady. We had laid down on the machine and had to go through and get it all done. Now, in it, they found a dark area and a shadow. There was definitely something there and a shadow. They don't know what the shadow was. So they said, no, you need to come back for a biopsy. And the biopsy had to be done with this machine on, and then they used the very fine needle to get to it. So they use the machine to guide the needle to the right spot. So it was a needle biopsy. They had to book the doctor and everything else, so it needed to be done in 2 weeks' time. Now, okay, so straight away I've got home and I've gone, okay, what is it? And now we didn't have internet, remember then, back in the olden days. So I had been working for a health food, not a health food shop, sorry. I had been working in pharmacy, but I did all the health food side of it. I did all the organic side of it, the herbs, the vitamins, all that side. That was my speciality. I had studied all that side of it. So I was doing that. So the first thing I went, okay, what is it that we have to do with it's thyroid. It was a thyroid gland. What is it that the thyroid need? And it needs, I think zinc was one of them, but what I really took was the kelp, which has zinc in anyway. I started taking kelp, right? So I took the biggest dose I could take of the kelp, whatever was the recommended dose. I took the biggest dose I could. Whereas often with vitamins, I will go, if they say take 2 a day, I'll take 1, or 2, 3 times a day, I'll take 1, maybe twice a day. So I'm really bad at that. But this time it was the kelp, and I took it to the full extent. And I can't remember what else there was. I'm pretty sure there was a couple of things that I needed to take, and I took those. So I started taking those. Remember, I only had 2 weeks. Started taking those. That was the physical aspect to it, right? Then I started doing some of the spiritual work, some of the healings that I had learnt to do, and some different. Now, with a lot of the healings that I had learnt to do, it's a lot of the hands-on stuff. And when you start to put if you're watching on the video on the web TV show, you just rub your hands together, and then you can actually take them apart and bring them back in, and you'll actually feel an energy. You'll feel some sort of a really slight resistance. Now, this is that energy that you can be working on. And when you're doing healing for somebody else, you can actually feel that where their auras are, what the chakras are doing. You can actually feel that through these minor chakras that are in your palm. So that you've got chakras in there too that attract, and they give and receive energy. So they go both ways, like your major chakras do too. So you can actually give energy through these chakras, or you can actually receive it. Okay, I used to do a lot of receiving, and it wasn't so much as receiving, it was sucking the crap out of them and allowing it to go to Earth, Mother Earth. So one of the things you've got to be mindful of when you're starting to do your healings is, what are you going to do with that energy, right? What are you going to do with it? If you're going to ask for the energy to be removed, where are you taking it? Where are you moving it to? And it's all these sort of mindsets that we need to be aware of. Now, one of the things that when I first started doing some of this healing and energy work and vibrational work, they used to recommend that you see the energy coming out and you send it to the gods, or you send it to the sky. It never felt right. It never felt right for me to do that. I did not like doing that, mainly because I didn't know where that was going. So I always, and I still do to this day, send any energy, especially any negative or dark energy, straight to Mother Earth, because Mother Earth is the one that can actually transmute it into something positive, especially when you think about like where diamonds come from, where your crystals all come from. All right, so I always sent it down, and my intention was send it to Mother Earth, attach it to a crystal, and let it change. Let it develop too. Let that negative energy, that dark energy, whatever it is, let it have the ability to change. And so that was my intention. Okay, so now I've got an understanding of that I can do this energy work. I've got an understanding of what I'm going to do with the energy work. And now I've got to get that understanding of how I'm going to do it. So doing it on other people, I would just allow my intuition to flow and let me go where I needed to go. And remember, when people were coming to me, I didn't know what their illness was. I didn't know what their problem was. So I didn't ask. The only thing I had to be mindful of is that they could get on and off the table safely, and if they would get dizzy coming off. They were my 2 areas of concern. So when you're working on yourself, of course, you know what the issue is. you know what the problem is. So it becomes a little bit more challenging, and we start to expect things that maybe we don't need to expect. If you've got an illness that you've done a lot of research on and you've got an understanding of it, that can be good, but it can also be not as good. So we have two different elements. And what I want you to think about when we start to do this is, if you are heading down a path and a big blockage was in the way, there's a big blockage in the way, how would you move that blockage? Or how would you get to keep going on your path? And everyone will come up with different ideas, because somebody will say, oh, I'll just get a bulldozer and bulldoze the blockage out of the way. Oh, okay. Somebody else might say, oh, I'll tie helium balloons to it and it will float away. Someone else might say, well, I'll just dig a hole under it and go around it, or go under it, or, jump over it. Everyone has different ideas. None of them are wrong. It is how you are and how your intuition is, and how your spirit, what your spirits come through, what your DNA, what your physical bodies come through, that will determine the way you're going to move that blockage. It's the same with when you're looking in at your body, or looking at your problem, your disease, your illness, whatever it is. What does it look like is the first thing. Because I've said you're walking down the path and there's a blockage. Now, the blockage could be whatever. And that's where you've got to allow your intuition to actually guide you, to give you an understanding of what it is. What does your disease, your issue, your problem, your health concern, what does it look like? And I don't mean physically. I mean, how do you see it? Because it's really, really important how you see it. How I saw these ladies' thought patterns was like clay. Someone else was sandy and someone else was rocky, but this particular one was like clay. That's how I saw it. How do you see your health problem? How do you see your health issue? How did I see my thyroid problem? Now, I knew there was a shadow. She told me there was a shadow. And so I saw the shadow as darkness. So we could look at why I've got that darkness there, and you can address it that way. But when we've got these constant thoughts, or we're constantly doing something incorrect, it doesn't mean doing it correctly is going to fix it. And that's, again, what I was talking about in setting the intentions for these live readings on Tuesdays that I do. When we're setting these intentions, we have 4 cards. The first card is the intention. The second card is the block. And the third card is how to heal that block. Now, why would we have a block and how to heal that? The reason is, what's created the block, you can't always flip and just don't do that anymore. Sometimes you have to do something completely different and think differently to get a better result about what you've already created down there. It's the same in this way. You may see the blockage as, you may see the problem, the health problem, as one particular way. It doesn't mean we can fix it by just sort of taking it away. It may not work that way. We may have to do something else to it. So when we're doing these healings on ourselves, this is what we need to do. So you're aware of all these things that I've just explained to you, get an understanding of this now. This is what I did. I would sit in meditation, and as I explained to you earlier on, that's really, you need to give yourself this time. If you don't give yourself this time to heal, then keep going the way you are, because that's where you're going. Give yourself this time to heal. Give yourself the space to heal. Create that space if need be, but create a meditative area where you go to. I know with my space, as soon as I get there, straight away, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm here. This is me. I'm done. I'm right. Because you instantly, it's got that energy there, because I do the meditation there all the time. So create that space, create that time, and try and make it regular. Try and make it as regular as you can make it. when I was doing it, because I knew I had a 2-week span. I did it every day, and the weekdays when no one was around, I could do it. I had my set time, but when the weekends came and the kids were around or something was happening, I had to allow different times, but I still did it. And it might have been just before I went to bed, but I still did it, or just when I woke up, but I still did it. And I did it every day. You need to do that. You need to do it every day. If you've got a time frame to it, you need to do it every day, okay? If there's no time frame, or if you haven't got a severe illness, if it's not a big problem, then you can be a little bit more relaxed with it. But I would suggest, if you're serious about doing some healing on yourself, this is what you need to do. So every day. So I would sit in my space every day, and I would do the breathing, do your general guidance on how to do your meditation. So you might do your deep breaths, you may do your body scan, there's different ways to do it, and you can jump on to Google and get an idea of that. Practice on those a couple of times if you need to. But if you can, try and do your meditation for your healing without a guidance, without any other guidance. Now, I say this because once you start to get into it, your imagination, your intuition will kick in. It will give you all that information and will kick in. You will not want to stop when the video or the Google podcast or whatever, when that stops. You want to stop when you want to stop. So if you can, run a few meditations first, get an understanding of how you can sit in there, do your breathing, get into your right frame of mind, and then you can start your healing process. When I was laying down, I would often have my hand over my throat and one in my heart, so I'd just allow that energy to flow that way. I might have another one on my heart and one on my solar plexus, allow energy to flow that way. On my head, allow it to flow that way. If I was laying down, I'd often do the hands on. And right, left, I'm not fussy. I don't care. I just feel whatever's the right thing, I'll do it that way. I don't get hung up in the details in that way. But so that's if you're sitting. I'm sorry, that's if you're laying, if you get caught up in the weekend or something. But when you're sitting there on your own, you've done your breathing, you've gone into that meditative state, you're in the lovely space there, then you need to go to the problem, where the disease is, where the issue is, where your concern is, okay? So I went straight to my throat. And this is the fun bit, because this is where your imagination will go crazy and you'll love it. So I pictured, because remember, mine was a dark area. They said it was a shadow, and that stuck with me. So I've got this idea of a shadow in my head. So I've gone to the throat. In my mind, I've gone to my throat chakra, to my thyroid. And it was like, there's the thyroid. It's really weird because you're like a little mini person. So there's the thyroid and there's a shadow behind it. And I'm thinking, oh, what does that shadow look like? Or what does it do? What is it? And you get an understanding of exactly what this looks like to you, okay? What does it look like to you? And you need to get that understanding, because as you get better at understanding that, you actually can read that later on. You can turn around and go, well, that's what that means, and this is what this looks like, and that was the shape of it, and that was the color of it, and you can actually start to get a lot more intuitive messages. But really, that's not as important as going, okay, I can see the shadow, I know it's there. How do I get rid of the shadow? Now, for me, when I was looking at this shadow, it wasn't a shadow like you see on the back of the wall. It wasn't like a shadow like that. It was an energy. It was a real shadow. I don't know how to explain that. It was strange. You could see it there. So it was a thing, not just an image on the wall. It was a thing. So the shadow on the back of there can only be there if I'm here. But this shadow behind my thyroid wasn't a shadow from my thyroid. It was an individual. It was an individual energy. And so I went, okay, And this is what you can do. You sit there and you see it, you have a look at it, get a good understanding of what this looks like, what this issue could be, what this problem could be, what it is. And then you sort of go, okay, I see it as a shadow. I see it as this. How can I fix that? How can I change that? Now, for me, I had these little men run in, and they're in these beautiful white overalls with a little white hat, and they look like I don't know what Bob the Builder looks like, but that's what they reminded me of, like little mini painting people. They were little painters, little tiny mini painters, and they've come in with this white paint, and they started to paint this shadow. And of course, the only thing that can get rid of dark is light. And so they're painting it all white, and everything was getting painted white. And it was like, well, I don't know if that's actually moving it or hiding it or what it's doing, but that's how it started. And it started by painting and painting and painting and painting. And of course, this was happening over a few days. And eventually I sort of went, well, you know what? I think they've painted everything. They've given it a few good coats now. We need to clean it up. And it was really strange, this whole shadow, because it had so much paint on it, it just crumbled onto the ground. And the little men, the little cleaners came. They were like the Oompa Loompas. That's what they looked like, the little Oompa Loompas. And they came in and they cleaned up all this mess off the floor, and they just sort of swept it and took it away with them. And they dealt with it. It was really strange. And honestly, if people sort of said to me, "Oh, that's a bit weird," come on, get a life, I would have agreed with them, absolutely. But that was my imagination. That was my intuition giving me, or my spirit giving me, those intuitive messages about how I can deal with it and how I can work with it. So every time I went in there for that meditation, I would work on dissipating it. I would work on cleaning it. I would work on shrinking it, or work on different areas of it, and painting it and cleaning it and painting it and cleaning it. And that's how I felt that area needed to be. Somebody else could have come in with a bulldozer. That's how they felt the area needed to be. So again, it's how you perceive it. You go in, you decide what it looks like, and you decide how you're going to clean it up, how you are going to fix it up. And you'll be surprised how quickly the things change from there. Now, of course, this, as I told you, I did get onto my vitamins and everything else, and I went back to the doctors with an open mind, with the fact that, okay, I've done what I can do. I've worked on it spiritually. I spoke my piece too. That was the other thing. Remember I said to you, it's my throat chakra. I needed to speak my piece. I did. That didn't go down well, but I did. I spoke my piece. I think that was about the time when the relationship really, I went, no, done, had it. Spoke my piece, and then I worked on it spiritually as well, by clearing off anything that was there that I could do in my way. So I worked on it on the 3 levels, physically, emotionally, by speaking my piece, and or even mentally. That covers emotional and mental, by speaking it, because it took a bit of guts to do that, and then spiritually, by going in and using my intuition to help sort it out. I went through all that. I had 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks that this thing had built up in me, and to clear. Laid on the bed where I had to be, had the same lady, the same machine, and the doctor came over. And I felt actually sorry for the lady, because she's looking and couldn't find anything. And she goes, it was here 2 weeks ago. And she actually brought out the scan from 2 weeks ago, because the doctor, he was getting grumpy. He's going, I've been called down here for no reason. Like I've got clients, I've got customers to see. No, I've got patients to see. Rah, 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 rah. And he was getting angry, and I actually felt sorry for the lady. But she pulled out the scan and said, here, this is what it was. And he's going, oh, yeah, there's definitely something there, and rah, rah, rah. And no, they couldn't find it. There was nothing there. And he walked off in a huff, and she just said to me, so what have you done? And I just said to her, oh, well, I've taken kelp and, you know, a few of the other things that I was going to do. I said, I have been, it is my throat chakra, so I have been speaking my piece. And I said, and then I've just been doing a lot of my woo-woo stuff. And she just sort of went, yep, okay, see ya. Because it is my stuff. It's what I have faith in. It's what I trust. It's what I believe in. And because I have faith and I have trust and I have belief in it, it allows it to work. And it may not have been the healing that I did, the intuitive work that I did. It may have been all of the kelp that I took, or it may have been the vitamins that I took. It may be that I just spoke my piece to my ex-husband and said, you know, I won't tell you what I said. But it might have been all three of them, because I am physical, I am emotional, I am spiritual, I am mental. I do cover off on all of those. So why not work on them from all of those points? And that's what you can do. So the first thing you do is get your understanding of your meditation, and then you can do it on your own without a guide. So go through it yourself. See what the problem looks like, because once you can see what it looks like, you'll know how to heal it. You'll know how to fix it. Okay, that's what I was saying. When you see this blockage in the road, when you know what the blockage looks like, you know how you can fix it. If it is a dirty, great big rock, then you will need a bulldozer. But you don't need a bulldozer if it's something else. if it's a big a moat, big water moat, what you might need is a boat to cross it. Okay, so whatever this blockage is, we need to see what it is, what the illness is, what it looks like, where it is, and get it really down pat so you can see what it is. Then you know how you can fix it. Okay, then you know how you can fix it, because then you can go in and you can start to work on it in your way. And again, it doesn't matter what your way is. The biggest thing is it's your way, and therefore it's the right way. It's the right way for you. So try doing that with your healing. And, you know, when I talked about the energy coming out of your hand, you know, when you hurt yourself, what's the first thing you do? You bang your shoulder. What's the first thing you do? Ow, you put your hand on it. You know, when you've got a toothache, what do? You put your hand on it. When you've got a headache, you sort of go, oh, I've got a headache, oh, my neck's sore. What do? You touch it. You put your hand over it. Your hands are so healing. You just don't realize. Okay, I've got to keep going because I'm going to run out of time. Now, you know how I told you about putting your hands on your body, and we do the hands on healing. What you need to do first, okay, do your meditation, get into that meditative state, or get an understanding of being relaxed. I want you to visualize, say, white light or energy coming in through the crown chakra, through the top of your head, and then visualize it coming out either through your hands, or it can be going anywhere in your body. All right, so say you have got heart condition, okay? So you visualize this energy coming through, and it be going through your body. I would visualize it coming out through your hands, and then put both of your hands over your heart, and then allow that to work. Then if you want to, do your visualization as well. So your visualization is when you're visualizing what the problem is in your heart. Okay, so you may have a little a dicky valve, you know, and you sort of think, oh, okay, well, what does that look like? And you can see it sort of flapping instead of opening and closing nicely. You can sort of see it flapping in the wind or in the blood. How can I fix that? Well, maybe we can sew it, or maybe you can do a little bit of starch in it and just iron that so it's a bit firmer, so it opens and closes instead of flapping. You know, there's lots of little things that we can do to it. There's lots of little ways that we can fix that up and allow that to happen. So while you've already got this energy flowing through your hands into your heart, then you're visualizing how you can fix whatever the problem is, and you're doing that, over a period of time. I can assure you there'll be changes. There'll be changes. It's just a given. You know, where energy's, God, I can't even remember what it is. Where you think, so you go. No, the energy. Oh, Sorry, let's forget about that. But I know if you're thinking about something, like even if it's negative, it's going to happen. So let's think about the positives. Don't think about the problem. It's you're thinking about how you're solving the problem. And if that's still a bit funny, then maybe we need to try it another way. Okay, so we've tried the starch. Let's try. I don't know. We can slip a bit of cartilage up there and make it a bit firmer so it doesn't flap as much. And there's lots of little ideas that we can come up with and work out on how we can heal ourselves. So even if you do, if you've got, say you're having kidney problems or liver problems, have a Google up liver or kidney and see how it works, and then get an understanding of where you think your problem is, and then you can zoom in on it. That's your visualization, to zoom in on it and fix it. And then when you're doing that, allow the energy to come through your head, through your hands, and put them on your kidneys, put them on your liver. Get an understanding of where your body is and what the problem is, and get an understanding that you can fix it too. And I'm not necessarily saying stop all your medication, because that's not what it's about. It's about helping yourself at the same time as those medications are helping you, as those vitamins are helping you, as anyone else is helping you. We go to healers because sometimes we just don't believe we can do it ourselves, but we can. You can. You can do this. Okay? Visualize it. Find the problem. Find the solution. Use your energy through the chakra, through your head, through the crown chakra, through your hand chakras, and start to heal yourself. You can do this. Okay, that's me. All right. I forgot to tell you the time if you didn't want to do the meditation. But anyway, I didn't do a meditation, so it's all good. You're safe. Now, just a quick reminder, I did remind you earlier anyway, I'm doing Intuitive Personal Development Facebook group. I am doing the Tuesday morning lives, that's Australia, Brisbane time, 9 o'clock. And I'm doing we set the intentions for the week, which is really lovely. I'm enjoying that too. It's really good. So we've got that going. The online courses are all moving. Workshops are all happening, but just like or subscribe to this one, and we will go forward with there. I would love some feedback, guys. If there's something you want to know, ask a question. Jump on the website, theartofintuition.com.au, and it is Australian business. Ask a question. Ask me, because I feel like sometimes I'm just doing all the talking, and yep, basically I am. So we've got a couple of ladies booked in. We had one booked in for this week, but would you believe she was talking about, what was it? Not neglect. She was talking about rejection. So she booked it all up and everything else, and then she rejected me. So it's like, oh, well, it's a little bit ironic, isn't it? So, yeah, anyway, all good. We've got a couple more coming up, so that'll be fun. All right, I am going to say bye for now because I have talked way too long. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Thursday. Okay, bye for now.